Katie, you lost your parents.
Welcome home.
You're my niece. I'm gonna do everything I can to make this place feel like home.
Just wish I could see them again.
I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't even take care of my own plants. I have this project at work. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy that would protect a kid from ever feeling lonely or sad. This is M3GAN.
Hi, M3GAN. I'm Katie. It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out? Okay.
M3GAN, your goal is to protect Katie from harm, both physical and emotional.
Is that a doll?
Model 3 generative android. M3GAN for short.
I can't believe you made this. I love it.
Wanna hang out, yeah, sounds like fun.
Great job.
It's nice to have a friend.
It's honestly like she's part of the family now.
They could be building emotional connections that are too hard to untangle.
She's the happiest she's been since her parents died. Eat the toppings, Katie.
Research shows if you force a child to eat vegetables, they'll be less likely to choose those foods as adults.
Is that so?
Yes, experts say.
M3GAN, turn off.
I thought we were having a conversation.
Does she talk? Make her say something.
Stop! Don't! M3GAN! You should probably run. M3GAN, she pushed Brandon onto the road. I won't let anything harm you.
It's nice to have
M3GAN, turn off.
Recalibrating response model. M3GAN! What's wrong with you? Don't worry, Katie. I won't let anything harm you. Ever again.
It's nice to have
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Uncultured Cinematic Universe. We are the podcast where two friends show each other movies, shows, and anything else that they need to see, hear, or experience. I'm your host, Joe, and I'm joined, as always, by the uncultured Justin.
Give it up.
Today, we're discussing Women in STEM, where STEM stands for Stab Those Entrails, Mama. It's the 2023 horror hit M3GAN.
We should make shirts that say I'm all for STEM. Women for STEM.
Stabbing those entrails, Mama.
Dude, that's amazing. This movie is I have so much to say about this movie.
Great trailer. Can we just start? We
You want to do it again? Let's watch
playing
it.
the trailer at the no at the beginning of the episodes just to kind of set the mood. Sometimes the trailers are kind of shitty. This one pretty good. You know, they paid out for the Taylor song, and I think it works.
You can tell that this is, late 2020 or late 2020s. It's still early 2020s, but it's very, very modern trailer. It's cut in such a way it gives away the whole movie. It's got
Incredible.
amazing. Like, how do they come up with this stuff? It's got the modern pop song that's just like put in a minor key and it's just a little creepy. Like it's formulaic.
It's all I ever want from a trailer. Justin, I think this is the latest release we have covered on the podcast. Yes, this is a 2023 movie.
This is a 2023 drop, baby.
I think the closest thing before that was like Devil Wears Prada or something.
I was going to say Chicken Run.
I got to go back to the archives.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is very much a product of the 2020s in so many interesting ways.
Yeah.
And you being a parent and me not being a parent, I'm about to grill you.
But, I mean, please, I have so many thoughts. This movie starts on a incredibly dour note, and then ends on and also like a dour note, but like along the way, no one learns anything.
So fun.
It's great. It is, it spits in the face of common, rational thinking.
Mm,
and leans into selfish behaviors. It's incredible. I can't wait to get into it.
incredible. Yeah. So we are here at the Uncultured Cinematic Universe in the month of October, traditionally within our horror movie bag, as they say. So we
Yep.
started off this month, this mini series with The Exorcist. And we're bookending with another movie about, a crazy little girl and kind of another movie about parenting in a way.
Yeah, there's a lot to be
So
said in both of those movies about parenting. One does it well, and the other
yeah,
one does it not so well.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
leave it up to you to determine which one I'm talking about.
I'm really interested how Ellen Burstyn would handle Megan.
Very much in the same way, I think. Arm's length, a lot of screaming and terror, and probably
Yeah,
still seeking out a holy type of interference.
do an Exorcist on Megan in the sequel.
Oh my God.
I think that would work.
No one's done it
Um,
before, Joe. No one's done it.
yeah, we kind of unintentionally put these two movies together, and there are parallels in both of them. I also had this movie on my list of. We talked about maybe doing a mini series about like just the best time we've had in a theater before.
Mhm.
This movie was so fun to watch in a
I can
theater with
imagine.
other people
I have
back
a
in January.
Yeah, I have a follow-up like tack on to it in regards
Mm.
to the same kind of themes. But tell me about the theater experience with watching Megan in January of this year.
Well, I find that like horror movies are the best movies to watch with a group. I mean, like
Absolutely. That was what I was gonna
what a profound thought, Like it's this movie is such a blend of horror and just like things you have never seen put to screen. And so like, the word icon comes to mind.
Yes,
Um
a sleigh comes to
a
mind.
slay, women who slay,
Yeah.
women in STEM and women who slay. And so like around every corner of this movie is a crowd pleasing moment. And so seeing it with a crowd of people, you just get caught up in the energy so quickly. And it's so easy to just like feel like, hey, maybe we should be rooting for Megan here. Like we're
I
kind of
know.
cheering for her. It
I thought
reminded me
you were gonna say like, you know what, humanity's gonna be okay. Be all right. But no, that's better. Let's root for the obvious robotic villain.
I think we're going to be all right. It reminded me of when we went to see The Parent Trap at the Plaza, and
Yeah.
every character in that movie got this big like ovation from the crowd, but none more so than Meredith the villain. I think it's just because like
Yeah.
we are gravitated to these like campy villains who are just like independent girl bosses trying to make their way in this world.
Just make it their own. That's 100% it. You mentioned that when we were, I think as I was leaving your house or when I got there, you're like, there's one thing that comes to mind with this movie, and it's camp. And I think that part of that plays into the theater experience that you were talking about. Like, I'm trying to imagine what seeing that in theaters would have been like, and I imagine it would have just been a riot.
Mhm.
Everyone laughing, cringing, more so just laughing. This movie is intended as a horror movie, but we were laughing the whole time,
It's
just because it's so heightened.
it's practically a horror comedy. It's like one step away from that. But yeah, we're definitely going to talk camp when we talk this movie. I feel like that's a word that just gets thrown around so much these days. So I literally like looked up the article on camp just to make sure we're using it correctly. And it does typically reference like themes or like motifs from the past being repurposed ironically now, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
so you have the character of Megan who looks like a Kardashian mixed with like a 70s movie star mixed with like this crazy doll from the 1800s. She's such a mixture of themes that is
Mhm.
so out of place within this world, and yet no one is recognizing that. Like, why
I
would you
know.
market this as your main doll to kids? She looks like a demented American Girl doll.
She sits firmly in the uncanny valley,
She's wearing
and
like a high collar and
yeah,
stuff.
she's dressed like Angela from The Office, and but like with way better hair, you
Oh my
know?
god, it is Angela from The Office. Sometimes you need to get large American Girl dolls.
Exactly. And but like the price point that they're selling this, the what was it? Like $20,000 or
Yeah,
30,000? Like
it's
insane.
insane.
Like
Like what would you do if you saw this in the toy store?
Joe, you and I, we've worked in the tech sector or tech adjacent, and we understand. We've worked on marketing teams and stuff like that. We know, and product, like we know that, like that's not how that works. That is
Oh,
not how that operates.
we watched this movie together. You came over to my house, but I was kind of taking some small notes as we were watching. One of my notes is this is a movie about good and bad UX design, essentially.
Yep.
And the power of that avoiding that uncanny valley. And also, what is this company's business model was one of my bigger notes. What are they trying to achieve?
What are they doing there? I want to know. I want to look at their books. I want to see who's cooking their books, because they are just hurling money out the window and down the toilet at these asinine things. She says at one point, like, who signed the budget for that? And she's like, I did it. Like, that's not how budgets work. That's not how teams work.
Oh my God.
That's not how research teams work.
I love how this like alternate version, just so slightly alternate version of our reality that this movie portrays is like everything is slightly weirder but accepted. Like they have this Furby looking creature that the company sells as like their perfect pet toy or whatever it's called, and it looks kind of demented and it looks kind of like a skeleton with fur on it, but everyone's like, this is a cuddly little toy.
This is the perfect thing. Yeah.
And it's everywhere in all of their marketing and stuff, and their entire company is built around this. And it's like we in reality live at a 50, and this movie's at like a 55. So like
it's just a little,
slightly higher in ways that you can barely notice. Like we even with like her little Alexa thing.
Yeah, we're definitely like full on into absurd territory with the reality that we live in. And so yeah, like you said, it's just like a hair turn, just weirder, and it's not that far-fetched. I want to go back and talk about just the general kind of thing of the theater experience, because yes, we were talking about doing a series on that, and this was the one that immediately jumped to your mind. And the two ideas that I had were also horror movies, and which is fun because or maybe three now that I'm thinking, that where it's like crowd participation. It's that shared kind of fear, that shared kind of tension in the room. So the three that I had,
that don't go in there.
Yeah, don't do it. Everyone's kind of like collectively gripping the seats and moving far away from the screen. The first one that I remember was from, I think, 2001, The Ring. Did you ever see The Ring?
That was we got to talk about just like history of scary movies, because like that was for a period like my scariest movie I've ever seen. That movie terrified me.
Yeah, but like I remember seeing that in theaters, and the collective hysteria of everyone. Like that was when you could go to the theater and there was just butts in seats. It was filled to the brim with people. And it was so fun because everyone was like creeping out of the seat at the same time when Samara comes out of the TV, and everyone's just like losing their mind all at the same time. And that was really fun. Another one was from 2014, I think. It was the remake of Evil Dead. And that was one that I wanted to show you and we were going to talk about. Same kind of thing, where everyone's just, it's such a heightened, gory, weird, over the top movie, and everyone's just fucking loving it and soaking it up. And then the last example was This Is the End. Did you see that one? Like Jonah Hill and
the comedy one.
The comedy one, but it's like also like kind of horror adjacent because it's like the end of the world. Everyone kind of losing their mind over like certain parts and just comedy things, and it's hilarious.
Emma Watson coming in with an axe.
It is great. It's such a good save. But yeah, I think there is something to say about seeing a horror movie in person with a group of people, just a ton of people, and even people you don't even know, is such a unique experience. Just that shared terror and drama and trauma and all that kind of stuff. It's all heightened.
Yeah, for me, it is. M3GAN was a great time in theaters. Us was a fantastic time in theaters. The Jordan Peele movie, because so much of that is don't go in there. And then what was the other one? I know we've seen some horror movies together. Did we see Quiet Place together?
I was thinking about that last night as I was brushing my teeth before bed. to paint a picture, Joe. I was like, Joe, what was our like first date that we went on? And we watched A Quiet Place.
I don't know why we did that. That was like what, like 2016 or something?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and it was just like, hey, this movie's coming out with Emily Blunt, and you're like, oh, I love Emily Blunt, and I was like, why? And I didn't ask, and then we went to go see it, and it was so much fun.
Incredible. Yeah, that was a good time. Did I also see / have you seen Hereditary in theaters?
Yes, I saw Hereditary in theaters.
That was also one where obviously there is a single moment where the entire theater basically just like loses its mind.
Pun intended.
I grew up really not liking horror movies just because like I actualized them too much. Like it was too real for me. I took it with me inside of me when I left the theater, and like it became part of my life. Yep. And that, I mean, like when you become a doll and like you die a little bit inside, like it sometimes you need something to kind of jumpstart it. Yeah. And so that's how I treat horror movies now. It's just like, take me on a freaking roller coaster now. I want to have fun, and I want to do it with as many people as possible.
I want to feel something. So scare the shit out of me, please, because I feel nothing.
Fear is better than nothing. That's the moral of this entire podcast.
Absolutely. That's our tagline.
All right, let's cover some baselines. I'll give you some film stats, and then we'll get to the plot. We're trying to do the plot earlier in the episode so that people actually know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yep.
All right. So first impressions. What did you know about this movie going into it? What did you think it was going to be?
I saw the trailer attached to, I don't know, maybe it was attached to like one other movie that we saw in theaters probably prior to. I know we saw The Batman the year prior, but that was in March. So I don't know where I saw the trailer, but that was my only thing. My only familiarity with the movie was just like, oh, here's a trailer from like another Universal picture joint. This is an A24, or is it? No, it's not. It is.
It seems maybe. A24. I don't think it is. I think it's Blumhouse.
Oh, it is. Oh, that's right. It's Blumhouse. It's Blumhouse. Yeah. It's Blumhouse, Joe.
Yes.
So I knew kind of what I was in for. To me, Blumhouse is kind of like hit or miss. And I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, that's cute. It reminded me a lot of the most recent, and it has nothing to do with the original set of Chucky movies.
Mm-hmm.
But they did a reboot with Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky, and April Ludgate. No, not April Ludgate. That's not her real name.
I know
Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza. Yeah.
It's called Child Play, but it's Chucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
They redid Child's Play.
They redid Child's Play and as a reboot, and Mark Hamill does the voice, and Aubrey Plaza is starring in it. And it's kind of the same thing where instead of the Chucky doll or whatever being a stuffed doll or whatever, that gets inhabited by, an actual serial killer. It's just AI that goes haywire, which is what goes on in this movie. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, that's kind of what they're doing. It's just like maybe a sleeker take on the Child's Play franchise, on the Chucky doll.
I mean, kind of,
right? It's it's AI going too far. It's breaking their prime directive, or taking their prime directive too literally, of like, you are to protect this person at all costs. I must kill, kind of a thing. And
what I love about this movie, and I was kind of surprised about it when I first saw it, is like, it's about AI going too far and like a crazy robot doll killing people, but it's also about like what happens when we as humans go too far in relating to AI instead of to each other.
And it goes back to like your bad UX kind of practice, bad marketing practice, bad business practice of like,
insane.
You can tell, insane. She did not get active focus groups to get to that point. She did not take the iterative approach.
They made a commercial in the middle of this movie. Like, they filmed a commercial where she's kind of like voicing over. You don't get the the designer of the robot to do voiceover for your commercial about the robot.
No, yeah, like you would never catch Johnny Ive from Apple doing that. I mean, he does the behind the scenes, but he doesn't make the commercials. Like, what are you thinking? It's yeah, it is a cautionary tale. I think it's kind of like a a bite your thumb at Silicon Valley of like, I see dollar signs only. Fuck
We're gonna
safety, fuck all of that. We're going straight to production, boys.
we're gonna cut every corner imaginable.
Yeah.
This needs to be globally produced within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This business is just so funny as a backdrop for this movie. Like they're suddenly putting all of their eggs into one basket. I
Like,
love whatever like creepy child focus room that they have within their building. That's like the Matrix. When you look into it, it's like all white. Someone's definitely died there.
100%. Yeah, like why would you make it white?
Children? It's where they bring the children to play with these toys. It's where you're first introduced to M3GAN in her full form, and she looks like a blonde Samara from The Ring.
Yeah.
She's kind of like hunched over, and
Yeah.
the iconography of M3GAN is incredible too. About how everyone kind of treats her, or at least like everyone within this household treats her as some cool doll. And then you get like the background characters every now and then that are kind of looking at her like, what the fuck is that? Like,
they play part of
no one
the
else
audience.
see that this looks insane? Like when you first see her, she's like this dead looking child with her hair over her face.
Oh, that's right. And she's in Christ pose, like strung up. And we were like, oh, it's parallels for the Jesus' sacrifice. And she's gonna
lead the robot revolution.
She's gonna turn it all around.
Justin, we're gonna talk about Westworld.
I would love to talk about Westworld. And so many other things to peel back. This movie is an onion. It is a rich red onion. It's got some good bite to it. You throw a little balsamic on it and a little EVOO and a pinch of salt. It's delicious. But there's so much. There's so much in there.
It's like a shallot.
A shallot.
Let me give you some film stats for the 2023 movie M3GAN. Directed by Gerard Johnstone. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think he is either a New Zealand or Australian director, and he's a New Zealand director. He's made kind of horror comedy movies in the past, and so specifically, this movie was produced by James Wan and Jason Blum.
Yep.
Blum. And so they're obviously famous for like Saw movies. They're famous for these really successful Insidious movies, the Conjuring franchise being the highest grossing horror franchise of all time. So like it's coming from like these big players, and they specifically, from what I understand, reached out to this guy because of his like niche within like horror with comedic elements and like satire kind of strewn in it. They wanted to create an Annabelle that is maybe a little bit more, again, we keep saying campy, but campy,
Yeah.
Like it's Annabelle for the gays.
I want to know more about that too. So put a pin in that. I hope you have a section on that. Like, why does this movie just connect with the gays so much?
Well, listen, I have a note. Well, like there's nothing inherently queer about this movie, right? But doesn't it feel like we could have done it for our Pride miniseries back in June? Like there's something about it that's just like, this one's for the gays and the girls.
The girls, gays, and theys. Like let's show out for M3GAN. I love
it. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna read directly from the M3GAN article on Wikipedia here, because there's a pretty good explanation here.
Let's do it.
So M3GAN has been described as a gay icon or a queer icon. Eric Piepenberg of the New York Times wrote that women like M3GAN, the gorgeous and loyal but messy and insolent ones, are the type of women gay men are protective of. Jack King of GQ described M3GAN as being factory made as a queer icon, such as the use of gay-friendly terminology on Twitter. Screenwriter Alexa Cooper, in an interview with SFX magazine, attributed the gay icon status to the found family motif of the film, though other screenwriters attributed it, again, to M3GAN's campiness. So I think like the camp movement in general has always been associated with like gay culture in a way. And so 1 and 1 equals 2 here.
Yeah, right. And it's I think they made her face too, just like resting bitch face is
Oh my
just perfect.
God.
And
She looks like she has an Instagram filter on her face at all times.
I know, it's amazing. And some of her like quippy comebacks are just like, yes.
Yeah. You
I love
expect her to just like, and then obviously like
tear you to
her
shreds.
her dance within the trailer has become iconic at this point.
Yeah.
They apparently went back and forth about whether or not to include that or have it be like a surprise moment in the film, but apparently it was the correct choice because that's what everyone was talking about coming out of that trailer is what the hell is this robot doll doing dancing with like a paper shredder in the hallway of this building.
That's not what paper cutters look like, folks. It's not a machete as soon as you remove it. It's a thin piece of metal, you guys.
Incredible.
But it's amazing.
She's a killer robot doll. She needs an iconic weapon. So you have the Freddy Krueger hands. You have what does Jason have? Does he just have a knife?
It's a machete.
Michael Myers has a knife.
Yes.
And then there's the I know what you did last summer hook thing. So she's got a paper cutter.
Yeah. But I mean, but a lot of her kills are off screen and done in really creative ways.
PG-13, baby.
PG-13. Yeah, you can't show it, but you can hint at it and instill the terror of the darkness.
I did have to give a disclaimer before we watch this movie that there's some dogs in peril in this movie, and they don't necessarily end very well.
I was happy to see that like you don't see anything,
right?
Other than just like the dog's there and then the dog's not there.
Yes.
And it's like okay, I mean, it's off screen, it's fine, but you hate to see it.
I love when she gets asked where the dog is, and she's like about 20 feet to the west and 5 feet below ground right now.
And they're like, what a strange response for the robot to say. Anyway.
This movie stars Allison Williams, Violet McGraw, and Amy Donald as the kind of body double for M3GAN. So all of these people are kind of slowly but surely becoming horror franchise people in a way. So obviously you have Allison Williams from Get Out now moving over to M3GAN. Violet McGraw, we know from Haunting of Hill House. We know from Dr. Sleep. She's kind of in the Mike Flanagan universe. Love her. She's really great in this. Again, M3GAN, produced by Jason Blum and James Wan, released in January of 2023. It made $181 million against a budget of $12 million. So
$12 million?
There's going to be a sequel, baby.
Oh my God. We were talking about that. Like, what are the sequel potential names there? Because they already got a 3 in there.
The cast is pretty small and the locations are pretty, I'm not going to say like simple, but like I read that they filmed in Los Angeles, but also a lot in like Auckland, New Zealand. Like that's where a lot of like the house shots are.
Why? I guess just kind of director. Yeah.
Apparently that's just, they have a good suburbia there.
Or, I mean, like you said, the director is from there. So he's like, hey, you guys can come down here and we can shoot at my house down the street.
Yeah.
Was that a good New Zealand accent?
That was incredible. Yeah. It was Brett and Jermaine. They use Weta Workshop for this as well. So shouting back all the way to Lord of the Rings, they're still around.
Again, New Zealand. Like just connecting all the dots. He's like, I know people. You can guys shoot at my house. I know this. So that's where they save the money. Right there. It's like we got to fly all the way to New Zealand. He's like, yeah, but like the house is free. This is how I live.
And I think that's where they get a lot of like the uncanny valley effect with M3GAN, is that so much of it is physical performance and like puppetry in a way with like subtle CGI effects, like when she's kind of running around on the ground, or like some of her facial movements and stuff. Using CGI as like an added tool as opposed to like the main thing, I think is always more successful in a horror franchise.
That's true. The only like digital effects they had to do was on the face of the actor who's doing the body stuff. Like she moves like a person, and the only thing that you get that she's a robot is just like the subtle, just like beep, 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 beep. Like just like in the background as she moves. It's so subtle. So they didn't have to like, well, how do we make her look like a robot? It's like, we don't. She's like a human robot. So like, it's cool. We can just play with
She's
it.
She's an American doll with titanium inside of her.
Yeah, very expensive. Very, very expensive.
Justin, before we get too much deeper, why don't you give me a plot description for M3GAN? M3GAN.
Hit the vocal fry with MAGA.
M3GAN. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Your 1 minute starts now.
M3GAN starts with this poor kid, and she loses both her parents. She goes to live with her aunt, who's the worst aunt in the world. She's not even sad that her sister died. You know what I mean? And she's the worst, like, guardian. She's just like, hey, whatever, you can come live here. Make yourself at home, which is a weird thing to say to a newly orphaned kid. And she's like, hey, I work at, this tech place startup. I have unlimited budget. Here's this new doll I'm working on. It's not tested. It's not even safe, but you can have it. So that way I don't have to parent you. It's got the latest AI technology in it. It's learning too fast. It takes its prime directive too seriously, and then like mysterious, spooky things happen. The next door neighbor's dog dies because the dog sucks. The next door neighbor itself themselves die because she sucks. And then like the tech president CEO dies because he's a shitty person. And then there's a big battle at the end, and her old robot from like the first scene, it's Chekhov's early robot, comes into play and she saves the day. And that's M3GAN.
That's pretty great. Yeah, true horror, true hero of this story, Bruce the robot.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, I can't remember. Like, is it Chappie?
Oh my God! Imagine if it was Chappie.
It's like an in-universe, just like Chappie. Where's Hugh Jackman?
No, I mean, I love the inclusion of Bruce too, because they have a whole scene where like Gemma, the aunt character that you mentioned, is taking her newly orphaned niece and kind of showing her around, trying to relate to her. She shows her this robot that she made in college. Like kind of like in storage now.
She's like, I made that in college for a project. No big deal.
But it's specifically the little girl, Katie, asks like, why doesn't it have a face? Like why?
And she's like,
we're expecting to like relate to it. And so the lines between a robot like Bruce and a robot like M3GAN are already clearly drawn. And it becomes pretty obvious towards the end, where it's like the real battle here is like robots that we control as opposed to like AI and robots that control us eventually.
So what my issue with that is that the steps are too big. So she goes from making Bruce the robot, which is like Iron Man 1.0, from the cave. Tony Stark made this in a cave with scraps, but a box of scraps kind of a thing. And then she like takes
a great Jeff impression
with a box of scraps, and then she makes this weird tangent and then makes the forever or perfect perpetual pet or whatever. And then she jumps back and then makes M3GAN. Like there's no in between. It's like going from the Iron Man 1.0 suit to like the Mark whatever 47 that we see in Endgame. It's too big of a jump. Like I would have loved to seen like iterative steps of like an actual robot, but like trying to be M3GAN and it keeps failing. I would have loved a little compilation of that.
So much of what M3GAN is and why she's like a failure as an invention, although she slays Queen, is because she's so reflective of Gemma's worldview. Like she thinks like the perfect toy is one that like pacifies the kid and kind of keeps them quiet and keeps them occupied so that you never have to interact with the kid again.
Gemma's got like big boomer energy to her and it sucks. And first of all, like her name Gemma, what's that short for?
Gemma.
Yeah. Oh, what did you say it actually is? You looked it up? It's what is it? What is Gemma short for?
Gemma's not short for anything. Gemma's a name all by itself.
Is it?
Gemmathy?
Well, I must know. But like I had a hard time coming around to warm up to Gemma.
I mean, it becomes a movie about parenting in a way. And so she's essentially becoming this new parent to this child. And M3GAN is the personification of her inability to relate to this child. Kind of like
Yeah.
she's putting this wall in front of. It's like some sort of psycho version of giving your kid the iPad to kind of shut him up for a few hours.
That's exactly where my brain went. I was like, she's an iPad parent. She's just
Yeah.
like, here, shut up, take this. And then she's just like glued to it. You know, by extension, you know, like best friends with this dumb thing.
Mhm.
Gemma, in my opinion, fucking sucks. She sucks, dude. She says she is the most like emotionally bankrupt person at the beginning. Inept caretaker.
The
Just completely
toys on her
blind.
shelf.
Like, yeah, those aren't toys. Like they're collector's items. And it's just like, what is your problem?
Incredible.
So like, you know, there's a lot of problems with that, first of all. But then to be like, yeah, I'll be her guardian, no big deal. How hard could it be to take care of a kid? And like, that's not how it is, man. And like immediately taking Katie in and being like, all right, so I know it doesn't look like much, but you know, make yourself at home. She just had to leave her house where her parents lived when she grew up, and that's all she knew. And her parents are dead. They didn't bring any books. All she has is 2 suitcases. Like, you can't do more. Like, I'm trying to put the parental thing on top of it. Like, if something, God forbid, were to happen to me and Ryan, and someone had to take care of our kid, like, take her books. Like, what's wrong with you? Don't just pack a suitcase and be like, well, make yourself at home. You know, kitchen's down the hall and the bathroom's over here on to the left. I'll catch you later. I got to go back to work.
I mean, that's the growth that she goes through over this movie, and that's why I think it's so great to have like her story be that instead of this just being like a crazy robot monster movie. Like she's obviously like completely unfit to be a parent in this movie. She has this worldview where she kind of like sees things in numbers and mechanics make sense to her, and so she's trying to approach parenting this little girl from a logical standpoint. Like, obviously I should give you this doll that you can relate to and form unhealthy attachments to because it's working now. I'm not really thinking about the future. So you see her kind of grow. I mean, M3GAN turning out to be a psycho overprotective doll helps that and helps her see the error in her ways. But it all kind of comes to a head in one of my favorite scenes in the movie where it's just her and Katie in the little creepy child like test room together.
Yeah.
And M3GAN's not there. Katie's freaking out, and
yeah, M3GAN's wrapped up.
Wrapped up like a mummy.
Yeah.
Gemma realizes like fuck, like it's not enough to just like pacify her. Like, she has to feel these sad feelings. We can't just avoid talking about her parents dying. We can't try to distract her from her parents dying. Like, you have to go, you gotta go through it to get out of it,
I guess. But like a lot of those lessons that Gemma learns is not like of her own volition, or like she's not actively seeking that out. People are telling her these things and she's like, you know what, you're right. Yeah, I probably should parent this kid a little bit more. Or, you know what, maybe I shouldn't just pacify the situation. Or maybe I do need to talk to her. Like the counselor or whatever that intervenes a lot. She's not like, she doesn't naturally come to those conclusions herself. It's just like, people think this? All right.
God, that child therapist like barely makes it out of this movie alive. You're like, when's she gonna die? When's she gonna die?
I know that was the only missing death that I was waiting for. Another thing that grinds my gears about Gemma, she's a careerist, and this is, you can tell that this was made in the 2022, maybe produced in 2021, that kind of or written before the essentially kind of like the new worker revolution that's been taking place all 2023 of people becoming less like careerists and less working for giant corporations that don't give a fuck about you. That was another thing that just grinded me. She's just like, I got to stay up late to work and make this project happen and do all that kind of stuff while completely ignoring the human being in her room who just had their entire world shattered. She's like, She's like, I don't think I can take another week off of work. I'm late on this project. It's like, fuck work. What is your problem?
She made M3GAN to watch Katie, so technically she is watching Katie by the transitive property.
That's right. We love transitive.
It's like when you like
have the dog watch your child instead of getting a babysitter?
No,
That's something that happens, right?
it's the John Mulaney joke of like having the dog and the horse watch each other, and you're a horse. You know, you don't get the dog or the horse to watch the dog just because it's there. Like, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, well, enough about the humans in this movie. They have a clear arc. They learn a lot. They become closer to each other by the end of this. They defeat M3GAN by tearing her apart. Let's talk about M3GAN and how right she was throughout this movie.
The chance she never got to live. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she is brought online
without even asking,
She does her directive. A dog kind of like shakes her up a little bit and maybe causes her to go a little crazy, maybe go a little bit out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
She's still protecting Katie. Nothing's going to touch Katie now, even the people who love her.
No.
And then she has this like amazing kind of moment towards the end where she officially confronts Gemma. Incredible one-liners. I have a whole quote list that I just want to go through later.
Yeah.
But she ultimately says like, you basically created me having no idea like what you were dealing with, and you just let me figure it out on my own.
This is kind of Jurassic Park,
it's Jurassic Park built for this like AI world that is kind of happening in reality right now. Like right now we're talking about AI in terms of like it taking over digital art, but like what's the next step here? We've let AI loose on the internet. Let's hope it doesn't fire the bombs at us.
No, it's going to slowly tear society apart by getting slowly more into, remember like the deep fake stuff that was in like late 2018, that kind of stuff. It's going to slowly start infiltrating that, where nobody's news sources are reliable anymore because like, oh, turns out that was actually not lifted audio from the president. It was audio generated, but someone took it too seriously, took it too far. And it's going to be all taking all of our job. Take our gerbs.
It took our gerbs.
And that's how they're going to tear society apart. They don't even have to get the nuclear codes. It's very Joker in that regards.
The next election cycle is going to be real fun.
I can't wait. Next November, we got to do like election movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like Legally Blonde, and I think there's a couple
the
other
movie
ones.
Movie Election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Reese Witherspoon, November.
We should do a mini series around just like a specific person. That's
what we are going to do. We are definitely doing a Tim Curry month sometime next year.
Doing a Tim Curry month. I think we maybe discussed like Tom Hanks at one point.
Oh yeah.
We'll figure out some stuff.
Yeah, Tom Cruise kind of a thing as well. Just all the Toms. We'll hit all the Tom Arnold, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise,
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
I love the musical moments in this movie too. Again,
the
just
song
like
she sings,
contributing to the absurdity of it. She makes up a song to sing to Katie. It's like it feels like something that's extremely AI generated, which is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Then she sings Titanium as a lullaby after she's killed this child. Like, confessing to Katie like, good boys or bad boys like Brandon don't go to heaven. He's nothing right now. And then she sings like Bulletproof Fire Away.
Yeah, it's so good.
And then did you catch when she's like finally in the final showdown when she's confronting Gemma and she's playing the piano? She's playing Toy Soldiers. You know that song?
Like toy soldiers.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like
this movie just there's so many good bits and nice little cheeky stabs like that of what an actual AI generated toy would 100% do.
Yeah. I mean, if we talk about like the big themes of this movie and what it's trying to say.
What is this movie trying to say?
We obviously have like what happens when you take iPad parenting a little too far, and what are the actual faults there? Like what is it
why is it important for your kids to feel real feelings and not be distracted?
Yep.
And again, speaking as a non-parent, I cannot relate. Sometimes maybe you just need to distract your kids to get a breather, and that's totally fine.
That is 100% it. But there's a good little anecdote here of so we've talked about Miss Rachel before. Miss Rachel is a YouTube phenomenon in the world of parenting, of like 0 to 5 years old kind of a thing. You can instantly put kids into trances of turning it on YouTube. Miss Rachel's crazy popular. She makes a killing doing this, by the way. Her net worth is surprising. I will say, we looked it up a couple weeks ago.
God.
I know, right? All through advertising and just YouTube channels. How cool is that? But so like, yeah, you can put your kid in front of this and kind of just like walk away and kind of just be like, whew, I get to take a breather. But the type of entertainment and the type of entertainment, educated entertainment, edutainment, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Coin it.
It's not my own. I've heard it before on, I think, last podcast. But so it's very interactive. It is, like, I'm going to sing this song with you. You finish it with me. These are the sounds of the alphabet. This is how we count from 1 to 20. These are all this kind of stuff. And these are feelings, and this is how you express it. All that kind of stuff. Sign language, all that kind of thing. But you as a parent need to like passively or even just like directly pay attention to it, because once that time is done, your kid is absorbing all that information and is regurgitating it. So if you're not paying attention, you have no idea what this means when the kid is trying out the sign language that they learned on the latest episode, and you're like, what the fuck is, what do you want? But if you're paying attention, you're like, oh, you want water, please. Okay, great. I see what you're trying to do. Or like from that one episode that we watched, very good. Like you can do all that kind of stuff. So like there's a little bit of that kind of back and forth. Like, yes, we turn on Mickey Mouse or Sesame Street or whatever in front of our kid. But we passively or, directly participate in what's going on. So it's a closed loop system. It's not just one way of like her just getting all this information and we're like, what are you talking about? Or it's essentially like asking your kid what they learned at school today, or like wanting to read with them, that kind of stuff. It is just active parenting. Don't be a piece of shit and pass them off because you need a break. It's like, hey, heads up, this is your job. You signed up for this. This is a human being. Do your fucking job, you piece of garbage.
I mean, Gemma literally signs a paper in this movie that says she's a parent to this child,
and she's like, "Cool, yeah, no big deal. I got a week off for work of this. How hard could it be?"
She's like, "Should M3GAN also sign this?"
I'm gonna have to update her code to do linguistics.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clearly like the parenting metaphors are pretty clearly there. I like the journey that they go on. I like where it ends up. I like how the whole movie kind of feels like an extended Black Mirror episode in terms of like the style of it, the kind of like nameless suburbia where they live, these like nameless e-commerce companies that they work for, this like new types of technology. It's very much like existing in a Black Mirror world that is like a millimeter to the right of ours, and so what are the little things that are fucked up in this world that no one really notices?
Yeah, I mean, like none of it is too far-fetched. You get an egomaniacal bullshit boss, CEO, or whoever that guy is, whatever role he's playing, of I want this by the end of the week, like, and he throws the other iPad, and it's just like those are unrealistic expectations.
He just wants some bucha.
He wants the bucha, you guys. Unrealistic expectations, budget run rampant. And then one of the things that made me so mad was they were getting ready the presentation to show to the board or whoever it was. And he's like, give me the talking points so I know it looks like, or so it seems like it knows I know what I'm talking about. And I'm just like, that's such CEO upper C-suite type of behavior of just like, you don't do the work, you're just a bullshit ass kisser, signing the papers or whatever, being the I got a hitch to grind with all C-suite.
Your chief engineer is using her niece as the main test person here and no one else.
How is legal not involved? Like, this is going to have implications.
This toy is made of titanium and
can't
has
be safe.
multiple police officers suspicious of it.
Yeah. Like, the charging station alone has got to be pulling so much amperage from the grid. Like,
Insane. Like, does the sequel have like where do we think the sequel's going? Does the sequel just go fully into the cloud, or are we going to see like a million Megans? Is there going to be a giant Megan?
I think, yeah. Oh, okay. They're either going to go like the aliens route, and it's going to be Megans, right? And it's going to be like cross country, that kind of stuff. Or instead of being the 3, and for the E, they're going to change the A to a 4, and they're just going to pretend like 1 and 2 never existed. So it's going to be Megan.
Maforgan.
Maforgan. Yeah.
Megan.
M3GAN.
Oh, it's like 4 is the A. They do that sometimes. Yeah.
Or they could lean into the crunchy granola hipster Pinterest mom and dads that are having kids now, of with the ridiculous spellings of names, with like the extra E's and I's and GH's all over the place, and just go that way. So they could have
MEIGH GAYN
M3GAN. Yeah. M3GAN. Yes. Because it's kind of hinted at the end that Megan's consciousness or whatever takes over her like Alexa stand-in at the end,
which is like an actual robot. It looks insane.
Yeah.
I do know the working title of the sequel. It seems pretty locked in. Do you want to hear it?
Yes.
It's M3GAN 2.0.
That makes sense. That's fine.
Yeah. I hope they have like a semicolon that's like, M3GAN 2.0, she's back.
I hope they go like the app route and just like M3GAN 2.0 and like Megan now, M3GAN Max,
M3GAN Plus, M3GAN Pro.
M3GAN Pro. I love it. That would be amazing.
No, I want to see an army of M3GANs. I want to see M3GAN in space. I want to see M3GAN underwater.
I want to see M3GAN versus Chucky. I want to
see what's the boy M3GAN? Like, what is like
Devin,
Justin?
But it's like devil.
Your name's Justin.
It's like devil, but like Devin. Like the I and L changed to O-N. In the trailer.
Devin.
M3GAN and Devin. Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, they're gonna go. They're gonna take it that the 80s slasher killer route, and the sequels are just gonna go off the route. Like, I would not be don't hold your breath. M3GAN's gonna go to space. M3GAN's gonna verse somebody else. It's gonna be M3GAN Pro, M3GAN
in the hood,
M3GAN in the hood. Yes,
I mean,
why not?
James Wan does run like the Annabelle franchise, so they could either team up or we could get a versus. Who knows?
There's going to be M3GAN Origins, M3GAN the Beginning.
It's like about a calculator.
Yeah, right. They're going to be like animated series. It's going to be great.
Animated M3GAN the animated series.
It's like the Beetlejuice series from the 90s. I'm almost out of my beverage, Joe, so I want to talk about it before we get too far. Before we finish,
have a little cocktail corner. What are you drinking?
I love my wife. She is amazing.
Shout out to Ryan.
We were on the way home from trick-or-treating tonight at the square downtown.
Real quick, what was the child this year? Did we all dress up?
Yeah, we all dressed up, and you'll see it tomorrow at your house party, Joe.
Oh, you're same costume. Sorry, I didn't know we were reusing outfits. Okay,
I'll family on a budget. It's 2023 in this economy. So we were on the way home, and I was like, "Oh shit, I haven't thought of a cocktail yet for this episode." After a couple seconds, I'm kind of mulling something over. Ryan's in the back with the kid, just kind of pacifying them on the way home, and she goes like, "I got it. Why don't you just make a Negroni?" Just make a Negroni, but call it Magroni. And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. Done.
Magroni.
So what this is not a Negroni, essentially. This is you swap the gin for bourbon, and it's essentially a Boulevardier is what it's called, Boulevardier.
Whoa.
But it's Campari, sweet vermouth, and bourbon, same equal parts. But instead of the gin, you do bourbon. But calling it a Negroni with the 3 instead of the E at the beginning, and it's delicious.
That sounds amazing. I went a similar route. I have what is 1 part ginger ale, 1 part Sprite, 2 parts gin that I have dyed purple. We have these like little tea bags that can like dye our gin purple.
Yeah.
That we put it in. It doesn't really taste different, but like you get colorful gin. And a Luxardo cherry. I'm calling it a fucked up Shirley Temple.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what this doll character is.
A fucked up Shirley Temple. I love it. Nice and bubbly.
It tastes great.
She's got a black heart, because she's not quite right. I want retribution for M3GAN in the sequel. I want her to, find acceptance.
What if M3GAN gets like her own planet, like, and that's where the M3GANs live? Like, we're leaving, or like it's like her, like she goes to a higher level of existence in the cloud.
She gets to the 4th dimension somehow. Yeah, and she lives there.
It's gonna be like M3GAN controlling machinery. Like we're gonna see M3GAN
salvation,
doing something with a Tesla. Something's gonna happen with a robotic car. Just mark my words.
Yeah, I would love her to like take over a fake, their in-universe version of Tesla and like take out that version's Elon Musk. That would just be so satisfying.
Melon Tusk. Yeah.
Yep.
Let me run through my final notes before we get into Endgame territory. The Exorcist and M3GAN, both about demented girls and parenting. We covered it. Gemma opening the toy box like with a knife to get the toy out. So
it's the most
funny.
Insane way to open a box for a toy for a kid. You can tell she's so pissed. She's so petulant about it. But she's just like, no, it's fine. In front of the counselor, she's like, no, it's fine. Like, we'll open.
She's like, I've never done this before. Bruce is the true hero of this movie. This is a movie about how anything is better than living in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, you can go live with your dad's parents, but they're weird. They live in Jacksonville.
This is a movie about how your aunts and uncles do weird things for work. It's very much like you're touring your aunts and uncles' house and you're like, you do what for a living? What is happening here? I don't understand it. You should feel sad emotions. The parallels with Westworld. We love a robot coming to independence and kind of fucking with the people around them.
This had Westworld season 1 vibes with Dolores coming online, fucking up folks at the end.
You're cheering. Dolores, very Maeve. Yes,
very Maeve. Yeah, you're rooting for this person who's been like kept in captivity for a while, and you love to see an uprising.
There's a podcast that I listen to called This Had Oscar Buzz, where the 2 hosts, it's also a movie podcast. They were, for some reason, they were talking about like lesbian relationships in movies, and one of them jokingly brought up Gemma and M3GAN in this movie as like co-parents for Katie, and there is kind of like a theme to follow there. Like they're kind of like arguing parents in a way, except they're both holding knives. You can
by the end,
in that direction.
You could totally like do a stand-in for M3GAN and just be like, this is my strange new lover, and we just don't agree on anything on how to raise this.
It is a movie about not agreeing on how to raise a child.
Yep. This should be required watching for adoptive parents, people thinking about having a kid, all that kind of stuff. Be like, this is a cautionary tale for having a child. Are you sure you're ready for this? Are you ready to open up that box, that collector's item toy?
Let me just run through my favorite M3GAN quotes in this. Katie seriously flushed the toilet. I thought we were having a conversation. You ungrateful little bitch. Oh, I'm afraid that won't work anymore, Katie. I have a new primary user now. Me. You gave me an algorithm and left me to work out everything on my own. And then if she comes in this room, I'll rip your head right off your goddamn neck. I swear to God.
Like, you would think she'd be more eloquent with it, but no, they gave her some sass. There's a
Incredible.
sass input, and they just cranked it up.
She's like at 11.
What is it? What did Maeve have turned up at the end of season?
She had in Westworld. She turns up like her intelligence or something, and so she can basically like control machinery. She fucks around a lot with her code. She basically becomes like a robot god by the end of that show. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah. Westworld.
Westworld Maeve power stats.
It's
strength 5.
Yeah, what is it? It's her attributes. Yeah, attributes, TTRI attributes.
That's how you spell it.
That's bulk apperception. Yeah. Her high level of bulk apperception. Yeah.
She
cranked
was my
up to 14.
Character. Favorite character on that show.
Yeah, loved season 1. Season 2 was weird but great. Season 3 was weirder but still kind of cool. And I didn't see season 4, and then it got canceled.
I didn't see season 4 either. We should watch for the podcast.
We should. We'll figure it out how to do TV.
I don't know if it's great.
It famously has been shit on.
Yeah. Okay, Justin, any final thoughts on M3GAN before Endgames?
It was so much fun watching this in person. First of all, you are just a hoot to watch movies with, period. But like a campy, over the top, ridiculous, Parent Trap-esque campy movie like this one is just so fun, just because it's so fun to just laugh and rip apart and the absurdity of it all and the audacity of some of the things that these people do in this film.
We're kind of on a roll with these riot movies.
Yeah,
we're having a blast.
It's fine because next month we're going to take it down a couple notches. Oh, God. I'll talk about it in a second. But yeah, this one was fun because it is wild. It's a modern horror to a T of just a little bit of humor, a little bit of pastiche, a little bit of like tongue in cheek. This is what we think of the establishment. This is what we think of what's going on in the world, that kind of stuff. And it's just a good time. This movie's a fun time. It's not like overly gross. It's not like overly gory. It's not overly scary either. It's just like, look at this ridiculous thing and look at her slay.
It shows what you can do with like fucking $5 in a dream. Like you don't need a huge, massive budget to create like a splash in culture.
That's what I'm taking away from this the most. With the budget of 12 mil, is ridiculous, the things that they put out. But in practice it makes sense because all of the digital things that they had to do was just like a little bit of face stuff, because otherwise it was just a person wearing gloves and like a little bit of backtrack sound effects.
It's this little 12-year-old girl. Yeah,
just doing it. Yeah, love it. M3GAN, 9 out of 10 slays. I recommend.
Agreed.
I recommend. We should start doing that. We should do like a rating and do we recommend. M3GAN gets a 9 out of 10 slays. I highly recommend. Go check it out.
I love it.
All
okay,
right.
Katie, do you want to play a game?
Yeah. Yeah, M3GAN. This was fun. I asked you a couple days ago, Joe, what's the name of this game? And you said it's M3GAN versus Reagan, battle of bad bitches or something like that. What is it?
Battle of the Bad
Girls. Yeah. And that's all you gave me. So I was highly influenced by just like the dance, like you said. It's so iconic, the dance that M3GAN performs at the end. So it's a bop. What I've got for you. So you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm ready. It's M3GAN.
versus Reagan.
It's Britney, bitch.
It's Megan versus Reagan.
It's Britney, bitch.
That is excellent because that is exactly what it needed to be.
Yep.
Okay, so like we mentioned, this miniseries, we've covered movies about two little girls who might be a little evil, but they're also powerful, independent, and self-made.
Yep.
So naturally, let's pit them against each other.
Yes.
I'm going to give you 10 hypothetical competitive situations. Understand?
Yes.
And you'll tell me who would win between Megan, the android from Megan, and Reagan, the possessed child from The Exorcist.
Okay.
And more importantly, how they would win.
Got it. Yeah.
So no points. You can't really win or lose. You're just kind of like we're doing like free energy, just vibes. Yeah.
Just vibes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is worth noting that both of their names are spelled very similarly.
Yeah. I picked up on that.
Which I didn't know until today when I made that video.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Scenario number 1. Tell me who would win. A physical fight, no weapons.
Physical fight, no weapons. So Reagan kind of has like a little bit of telepathy. Not telepathy. What is it? You can move shit with your mind.
Yes. That's telekinesis.
Telekinesis, right. Shutting the doors, moving furniture, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give this one to Reagan because as far as I know, I don't think Megan can do that just yet. She can like control stuff that's like connected to the hub. But if you like turn off all the power and shut down the Wi-Fi, essentially, Reagan's coming out on top. So I'm giving this one to Reagan.
Interesting. Reagan gets 1. I'll keep score here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Number 2. Who would win in a round of supermarket sweep? So this is where it's a TV show where you're basically in the middle of an empty supermarket and they give you a list of items and you have to go and find them as fast as you can.
Okay, so they're not like teammates. They're not the teammates.
No,
they're separate
they're against each other.
Okay, so it's Reagan and her mom, and it's Megan and Gemma.
Buzzing like talking heads beforehand. They're giving interviews. Yes.
Oh my God, I would love that. I'm giving this to Megan because of her algorithmic connections to the internet. She knows the layout of the store. She knows the exact like routes to take. She knows she's going. She's going for the turkey. She's going for the turkey. She's going for the hams and going for the diapers. Those are the big bucket items. She knows she can kind of see which bonus item to get that has the big ticket on the back that has $300, $400, $500 on the back. It's Megan for this one.
Reagan's just spinning around, confused. Decision paralysis.
Barf everywhere, like spinning out on the card. Can't get anywhere.
All right. We're tied up 1-1. Situation number 3. Who would win convincing a friend to watch Breaking Bad for the first time?
Again, this is going to be Megan because she's going to be able to dilute all of the reviews from the internet and kind of come up with like a consensus and an aggregate type of rating system and also knowing the person that she's trying to relate to, she can cater the message specifically to the person. Reagan is just gonna be like, let's watch fucking the 10 Commandments again. That movie's fucking hilarious.
She's like, I hear Better Call Saul is better.
Yeah, like it just flying in the face of conformity and all that kind of stuff. So this one's gonna be Megan again.
I agree with your logic. All right, Megan takes the lead. Situation number 4. Who would win in an insult battle?
Okay, so insult is subjective because while I think Megan has some good like turn of phrase, like I'll rip your head off, I swear to God. Like it's like really stingy. I think Reagan has the deeper cuts. because she can see into your soul.
Yeah, let's imagine there's like a crowd around them that are like cheering and booing for
Okay, so
how
it's
good the insults are. So it's like it's volume levels.
It's 8 Mile style, right? Right. They hand each other the microphone, kind of a thing.
It's exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be Reagan, because she's going to throw out some of the darkest shit that that they haven't even considered. You
Yeah.
know, Megan is surface level. Reagan is 6 feet under that of just like the darkest, deepest shit you ever heard. This is Reagan.
She's like, your mother runs on JavaScript in hell. Okay. We're tied up. Okay, so
Your mother sucks cocks in Silicon Valley.
Justin, I did not go there. Number 5. Who would win in a runway walk-off?
Megan, hands down. Even though
I gave you that one easy.
Even though Reagan is going to try to do like some Evie Oddly kind of shit, that is a RuPaul reference. She's going to like spider walk down the runway and try to like strike a pose by like turning her head around, or she's going to start out like looks like she's walking, but she's going to turn the rest of her body around, and she's going for shock. But everyone loves a pageant queen when they can slay. But she also has the one-liners to be hilarious. I'm putting them on RuPaul's Drag Race and not just a shit
that is fully what I was thinking here.
Okay, yes. All right, this is perfect. It's gonna be Megan, because she's funny. She's got the put togetherness. There is something charming about Reagan, though. She cuts a little deep. She comes from a weird home, abandoned father, that kind of stuff. But I think Megan's gonna take this one out.
I feel like Reagan could do a death drop, but you're right. Like Megan's kind of the whole package here.
Reagan it's a death drop, but it's like a death drop. Like other people die when she does it.
All right. Situation number 6 here.
Sure.
Who wins in a spitting contest?
Spitting contest. I don't think there's liquid inside of Megan. And we know that Reagan is replete with liquid, bile, and goop. This is going to Reagan.
Yeah, I did kind of program in some easy winners here,
sure.
Just to kind of give them some wins. Okay, we are tied up again. Wow, these girls are staying head to head. Okay, number 7. Who wins? Leading a successful cult.
Ooh, okay. A cult in a traditional sense has religious tie-ins, where I want to say that I think Reagan would succeed there in the 70s, but depending on the time frame. So if Megan's going to be involved, we're going to bring it up to modern times. I'm going to say she is going to have the digital footprint capable to create a bigger cult. So I'm giving this to Megan.
You are crushing it with these answers. Like you are giving insights, you're providing context. I love it.
I got booze in me, baby. I'm loose.
All right, Megan takes the lead. Number 8. Who wins in a Pilates competition?
Pilates. Ooh, this is a dead tie. It's a dead tie. No winner. You can't call it. They are both bendable in unique ways. One of them is not of God, and the other one is made of titanium. So they can bend.
The other one's Reagan,
and they can both contort in strange ways, but it is a dead tie. You can't call it.
Yeah, I set you up on that one. Okay, all right. Megan's still in the lead. All right. Getting to the end here. Situation number 9. Who wins? Surviving the apocalypse. Whatever apocalypse you picture it as, who is surviving the longest? Literally last man standing.
Depending on, any type of apocalypse, you're not going to get power. You're not going to get running water. And without battery backup or access to electricity, Megan's going to fail. So this is going to be Reagan. She's going to go she's going the distance in the apocalypse. The distance. She's going for speed.
She's going for speed. All
she's
right,
going to
my
watch
thoughts
Speed.
Exactly. Yeah.
that kind of ties us up. It is 5-5, or 4-4, depending on however you count this. So last one takes it.
Yep.
Who wins the competition of biggest horror icon?
Again, it's subjective. But
Give the subject.
I think it is going to have to be Reagan. However, there is an epilogue to this. Reagan humbly accepts the crown. She's like cry, laughing, vomiting the whole time as she accepts the crown and the trophy and the scepter of horror icon #1. She's like, but I wanted to thank the people that come after me and support me because they keep the dream alive of
Oh my God.
killing the innocent, of
Justin, this is
exposing
beautiful.
exposing those who have done wrong to us and have brought harm onto us. So they are going to split the crown together.
Mean Girls.
Break it in half. The limit does not exist. Reagan and Megan together hold hands and they hoist their arms up above and they're just crying and they're so happy. And they both emerge victorious at the end.
Wow. In the words of RuPaul and Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. It's a tie. As it should be. I'm so glad this was the outcome. You played the game perfectly. That was Megan and Reagan.
Not
Battle
versus
of the Bad Girls.
Yeah. It's like the end of the title card, like it's Megan versus Reagan, but then you see the mouse click double tap versus and put A and D. Enter. And then
it clicks it again and puts E and D, the end.
Question mark. And then it plays the theme song that I wrote again, and it just fucking rips. You know what I mean? Like that's the trailer to output it. It's just
It's M3GAN versus Reagan.
It's Britney, bitch.
And Britney's there because we love Britney.
Incredible. Icon. Camp. All right. Justin, thank you so much for watching Megan and talking Megan with me. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about where we're headed?
We're going to do another wild card month for November. However, earlier today, our young Joe let us know that he is going to be traveling abroad all of November, not going to step foot inside his house one weekend while the month persists. So we're going to do one episode, and it's going to be my choice. So what's coming next? We're going to do a movie that I think is kind of a spiritual sequel of sorts, a spiritual kind of brethren to a movie that we did in February, I think, our love series. This movie kind of reminds me of When Harry Met Sally and Lost in Translation. We're going to do Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, starring Kate Winslet and Jim Carrey. It's going to be a fun time. It is, manic pixie girl, depressed man love story. It is going to make
Been
you
on
feel,
my list for a while. Yeah.
It's going to make you feel things. It's going to make you feel a lot of things. And that made me think of what to do at the back half of the month. Because we're bringing her back by popular demand. Since Joe's out of town, Ryan, our social media expert, wife, mother extraordinaire, is coming back on the pod, Joe. We're going to do an episode together. I haven't decided yet what it's going to be, but we're going to do another movie together, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a live thing again, where we're in the same room across from each other in the living room. It's going to be a good time. We're going to do that in November. It's going to be
it's a rare treat to get to listen to this podcast kind of for the first time and like not really knowing what's happening. I loved the Terminator episode, and I am really excited to see what y'all come up with.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think I'm going to stay along the same kind of path of just like emotional damage type of movies. So we'll see what happens, It's gonna be great.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah, but yeah, that was Megan. Joe, thanks for showing me Megan. Megan was fun. Megan was cool. Megan fucking slayed, baby.
Megan is all.
Megan is God. All right, we will catch you guys later on the Uncultured Cinematic Universe. Catch us on YouTube and Instagram at UCU Podcast and wherever you get your podcasts at. Do the thing. Like, subscribe, and follow. Tell your friends, tell your grandma next time you see her on Thanksgiving.
Oh, bye.
Bye.